Hello sports fans, it is Friday, April the 19th, the year 2013, and as usual, a lot to get to in the sports world, so let's get it going right now. Of course, all eyes are on Boston, all eyes are on the scene up there. The new events since the last time we talked yesterday. The FBI did release that surveillance video last night. You know, they had the two suspects caught on tape on surveillance. Turns out they were two brothers living in the United States, going to school in the United States. They've been in the United States for a while. They're originally from Chechnya, that's near Russia. Through the night, they end up carjacking someone. They end up letting that person go. They end up shooting a police officer dead. They end up shooting another police officer who's critically injured right now. One of the suspects is then shot dead himself, so one of the suspects is dead. The other suspect is on the run. Boston is in complete lockdown. No transportation anywhere. No cabs, buses, trains. Boston in complete lockdown as they tighten the net on this suspect on the loose. I would think they would have him, if not in minutes, in hours. I think this will come to an end today. I hope they get him as soon as possible. So all eyes still on Boston as they've been for the last few days. So we'll keep an eye on that as the day progresses. Transition over to the sports world. I know it's hard to transition to the sports world. I've had to do it a bunch of days in a row here. Very tough transition. But as far as the sports world, as far as some scores of note from last night, Major League Baseball, Milwaukee beat San Francisco, Cubs beat Texas, Colorado beat the Mets. Colorado continues to play good ball. Seattle beat Detroit, Baltimore beat Tampa, Boston beat Cleveland. Boston, very surprising this year. Arizona finally beat the Yankees. I thought the Yankees were going to rally again for the third straight night against Arizona, but Arizona did win last night. They pulled one out. St. Louis beat Philadelphia. I do not like the way Philadelphia is playing at all. Atlanta continued its winning ways. Beats Pittsburgh. What else is new? Jay Upton, another home run. Toronto beat the White Sox. Cincinnati beat hapless Miami. One other note in baseball, Derek Jeter, who was hoping to play opening day, now has a small crack in his ankle. He won't be back till July, so the Yankee injury woes continue. A-Rod won't be back till July. Jeter not back till July. You still got Granderson and Teixeira on the DL. Yankees, a ton of injuries. Bad break for Jeter, so we will not see him till July. As far as your NBA, the NBA playoffs do not start until tomorrow. Some news and notes from the NBA. 3 coaches got fired. Byron Scott out in Cleveland. That's not a surprise. Once the star player Irving starts complaining about the coach, you know the coach is in trouble. Bad break for Byron Scott. When he took over, he thought he was going to have LeBron James. That was the summer LeBron James bolted for Miami. Byron Scott was left with this mess. Tough break for Byron Scott. Cleveland's looking at Mike Brown maybe to come back. Remember, Mike Brown was the coach when LeBron James was there. He got fired. Then goes to the Lakers, gets fired there. And now Cleveland may be bringing back Mike Brown. I was surprised to hear about that. Frank out in Detroit. I mean, Detroit was so bad in the second half of the year. You could see this coming a mile away. And also Doug Collins out in Philadelphia. I'll tell you, Doug Collins is in the wrong place at the wrong time. I mean, he coached Michael Jordan on the Bulls before the Bulls became that great dynasty. Then he coaches Jordan in Washington when Jordan's past his prime. He takes a Sixer team here that he thinks he's going to have Andrew Bynum, a healthy Bynum the whole year. They trade 2 decent players to get Bynum. What happens? Bynum doesn't play one single game the whole year. Philly has an awful year. Goodbye to Doug Collins. I think Doug Collins knows basketball. He just has bad timing. So that was kind of some of your doings in the NBA news last night. As far as your NHL last night, Islanders continue to play good hockey. Islanders go into Toronto and beat the Maple Leafs. Islanders are going to make the playoffs. They are doing a tremendous job this year. Islanders look like they will make the playoffs. Rangers beat Florida. Rangers had to have that game last night in the Garden. They get the job done. Montreal beat Tampa Bay. Montreal and Boston fighting for the division. Ottawa beat Washington. Of course, you know, Washington's fighting for their division. Ottawa still fighting for a playoff spot. New Jersey beat Philly, but those two teams basically are out. Winnipeg beat Carolina. Very important win for Winnipeg. They're fighting for the division and the 8th seed, so nice win by Winnipeg. St. Louis beat Phoenix. I like St. Louis's team. They could be one of my surprise teams in the playoffs. Dallas, much needed win against Vancouver. Dallas staying in the race as well. LA beat Columbus. Tough loss for Columbus. Tough back-to-back. They had just beat Anaheim the night before. Tough loss in LA last night. Columbus right there with Detroit for that 8th spot in the West. And San Jose beat Minnesota. San Jose's playing tremendous hockey, although I don't trust them because San Jose's done this to you before. they've had big regular seasons and just fallen apart in the playoffs. Okay, so that was kind of some of your scores from last night. In a second, I'm going to go over the big fight tomorrow, Alvarez-Trout on Showtime, which is a very underrated fight. I hope you guys check it out. Hope you guys get to watch it or tape it or see it at a bar or something. Very underrated fight, Alvarez-Trout. If you like boxing, I know a lot of people are sour on boxing for a lot of good reasons. I mean, there's so many reasons not to like boxing. I mean, the bad scoring, the top guys don't fight each other. I mean, all sorts of corruption. We know all that. But if you like boxing, this is a very underrated fight tomorrow. Alvarez-Trout from the Alamo Dome in San Antonio. Should be a fabulous atmosphere. Should be a nice fight. We'll get to that in a second. Let's preview what's coming up over the weekend besides the boxing in Major League Baseball over the weekend. Here's your series in Major League Baseball. Dodgers, Baltimore, St. Louis, Philadelphia, Atlanta, Pittsburgh, Yankees, Toronto, Washington, Mets, KC, Boston, Oakland, Tampa Bay, Seattle, Texas, Minnesota White Sox, Cubs, Milwaukee, Cleveland, Houston, Arizona, Colorado, Detroit and the Angels, San Diego, San Francisco, Miami and Cincinnati. And your Sunday night baseball game is St. Louis and Philly. I don't like the Sunday night baseball game. It doesn't do anything for me, but that's your Sunday night game. If you like Sunday night baseball, it's St. Louis and Philly. So those are your series in Major League Baseball this weekend. As far as your NHL, what to watch tonight, Friday, Pittsburgh and Boston, very, very nice game. We'll see if this game, proceeds onward. I don't know if they're going to even play this game, what the story's going to be with this whole game. Maybe canceled, maybe on. As of right now, I don't know. Rangers, Buffalo, Dallas, St. Louis, Nashville, Chicago, and Anaheim against Calgary. So those are your games tonight in the NHL. As far as tomorrow, you got Islanders, Winnipeg, Washington, Montreal, Toronto, Ottawa, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, Phoenix, Chicago, and Detroit, Vancouver. Sunday, Devils, Rangers. Very important game for the Rangers. Devils, I guess, still in it mathematically. You have Columbus, San Jose. Columbus is on a brutal road trip. I mean, Anaheim, LA, San Jose, and Dallas, LA. Very important game for Dallas. So very important games in the NHL. And, of course, tomorrow starts your NBA playoffs at 3 o'clock with the Knicks game. Starting at 3 o'clock tomorrow, you're going to have a quadruple header of NBA games. On Sunday, starting at 1 o'clock, you're going to have a quadruple header of NBA games that day. So wall-to-wall NBA playoffs from tomorrow onward for the next 2 months. You're going to be able to find a playoff game any day of the week. So that's kind of a little preview of what's coming up over the weekend in your sports world. Now, without further ado, let's get to this fight that I really, really like. I mean, I don't know if the general public is into this fight, but I am really, really into this fight. Austin, no doubt, Trout, 26-0, which a bunch of knockouts against Canelo Alvarez, who's 40-0-1, 30 knockouts. Should be a really, really good fight in San Antonio, in the Alamo Dome. That means heavy, heavy Alvarez fans. He's going to have a major home crowd advantage. Remember when Pernell Whitaker fought Chavez down there? Same venue down there in San Antonio, Texas. Pernell Whitaker dominated the fight, ended up in a draw because Chavez had that huge home crowd. Home crowds influence judges. Anytime a hometown fighter throws a punch, the crowd goes, ooh and ah, and even if the punch doesn't land, it gives the judges, the thought that it landed. So judges are influenced by the crowd. So a huge home crowd advantage for Alvarez, who comes in as the fighter. Let's break it down a little bit. I got about 10 categories here. We'll see who's got the better of it in each category. As far as boxing ability, overall ability and intangibles, I would say that's even. Both of them have good ability, good intangibles. I would call that even. As far as hand speed, I would give it to Trout. I think Trout has more of the hand speed. I like boxers that have the advantage in the hand speed. Trout has the advantage in the hand speed here. As far as opposition, who they faced, Alvarez hasn't really fought anyone yet. Trout had that really nice win against Cotto in the Garden, which should prepare him for this fight, because when Cotto fights in the Garden, he's a heavy home crowd favorite. Should prepare Trout going into this atmosphere where Alvarez is going to have a huge home crowd advantage. Better opposition, Trout, because he beat Cotto in the Garden. Defense, I would call it even. I would say the defense is even. As far as power, big edge for Alvarez. Alvarez is a big puncher. He definitely has the power advantage. Trout's going to try to win this fight with technical boxing. Now, Trout has some knockouts. He's got 14 knockouts in 26 fights. Trout is not a knockout guy. Alvarez can knock you out. So Alvarez definitely the edge in power. Punch output, definitely Trout. Trout's got to stay busy. Alvarez sometimes doesn't throw a lot of punches. Trout usually is pretty busy, throws a lot of punches. Punch output, definitely Trout. As far as the chin, I would say they're even, both good chins. Punch accuracy, Alvarez. Even though Alvarez throws less punches, he connects more. Trout throws a million punches, but doesn't have greater accuracy. So Trout wants to overwhelm you with punches. Maybe, he'll outland, he'll throw like 5-1 as far as punches, but he won't, be that accurate with them. Alvarez will be more accurate, have a lot more sting on his punches. Alvarez can knock you out. Trout cannot. So that punch accuracy goes to Alvarez. As far as conditioning, I think it's even. Both of them show very good conditioning. As far as aggression, that surely goes to Alvarez along with his punching power. He is definitely the more aggressive fighter. And as I said, home crowd advantage, huge for Alvarez. Alvarez, to me, is the favorite. He's got a huge home crowd advantage. I am going to pick the upset here. I am going to say Trout in a razor-close decision. 7 rounds to 5. I think this fight could go either way. I think it's 7-5 Alvarez or 7-5 Trout either way. It could even be a draw. And remember, if it's close, Alvarez could get the benefit of the doubt with the judges being the fights in San Antonio. I am going to pick Trout. Here's why. I like Trout's hand speed. I like that he throws a lot of punches. I like that he's faced the better opposition. I think he's the better technical boxer. Alvarez hasn't fought anyone of Trout's caliber yet. Trout had that big win against Cotto in the Garden. That should prepare him for this fight going into hostile ground here in San Antonio where it's going to be all Alvarez fans. I'm picking Trout in the upset, 7 rounds to 5 in a decision in a very, very, very close, entertaining fight. Wouldn't shock me if Alvarez won 7 rounds to 5. Wouldn't shock me if it's a draw. Wouldn't shock me if Trout deserves the decision and they give it to Alvarez. Wouldn't shock me at all. I think this fight is razor, razor close. Either way, I think it's a tremendous fight. It's on Showtime Saturday night. It's not pay-per-view. It's a freebie. You guys, please check it out. Either tape it, watch it live, watch it in a bar. Trout Alvarez, Showtime on Saturday night. Very, very nice, underrated fight. Alvarez, 40-0-1. He's undefeated with 30 knockouts. Trout, 26-0, undefeated. 14 knockouts. He beat Cotto at the Garden. Very, very nice fight. The winner of this fight, I think, is going to be a star. I am very high on this fight. Now, I'm worried that I'm very high on this fight because high expectations means I'm going to be let down. I'm very high on this fight. I don't know if the general public is. I know the general public's down on boxing. A lot of them are more into mixed martial arts now. I love this fight. I'm picking Trout in the upset. Razor close. Could go either way. Should be a fabulous atmosphere down there in San Antonio. Showtime Saturday night. Austin, no doubt, Trout against Canelo Alvarez. Please watch it. I implore you to watch it. Must watch if you're a boxing fan. Okay, so there you guys go. You guys are all caught up. You guys know what to watch over the weekend. Boxing, NBA playoffs, Major League Baseball, hockey. You got a ton of stuff. We're going to keep an eye on the Boston situation. We hope they get this guy very, very soon. I think they will. We should have a finish to this very, very shortly. I think we'll catch the guy very, very soon as Boston is on complete lockdown. Boston, we are thinking about you. Okay, you guys are all caught up. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for the support. You know what to watch over the weekend. Keep an eye on Boston. You guys stay safe. Take care. I will talk to you again on Monday. We'll recap everything that went on the next few days. Thanks for tuning in. Talk to you Monday. Take care.